For you, I would imagine the last year has been interesting, to say the least. You always seem to make things interesting. Why today to make this announcement? When did you come to the realization this is what you wanted?
Well, this is, life is very interesting. I always have fun with it. And I do it with a smile on my face. And today, the reason, I wanted to announce my retirement is because I feel like, one, the only reason I'm retiring is because I didn't get picked up. Let's be honest. But also, I do understand where I'm at. I'm very aware. And I'm at that position where, there's a lot of things in life that I really am ambitious about, that I've been neglecting and holding myself back from full ongoing into. And because that's of my dedication and commitment to this game that I so love. And by announcing that, I'm doing it in such a way that's, one, is humbling. I get to stop and remember the history of being a little 6-year-old kid, overweight, chubby, asthma, that y'all know that story so well that I've been able to share with y'all. That he got to live his dream. It's not every day you can ask a kid that's 6 years old and say, what you want to do when you get older? And you talk to him at 32 years old, and he tells you that that's exactly what he's been doing. And because of that, I'm full. I'm complete. I'm humble. I have no regrets. If I could rewind the tape, I'll do it the exact same way. I don't have any days where I wish I would have worked a little bit harder. I wish I would have ate right. I wish I would have studied more. I did everything I could. And so because of that, I'm humble. And I obviously want to retire as a Giant because I feel that's where I've made my staple as an NFL player, both on and off the football field. And the history that this organization has, and to be a part of that is very rewarding, and it's something I'm going to cherish for the rest of my life.
What's next for you?
What's next? Oh, man.
A lot of holding you back, so where are you going?
Nah, it's a lot of stuff. I mean, you got to know me here, and I'm an autodidact. I love learning. I'm always picking up new things. But what's next? Obviously, I'm not going to dismiss that I'm going to be eventually looking for my wife one day. I'm not going to dismiss a lot of things, but acting is going to be something that's in the arsenal. Writing books is something that's in the arsenal, is in the works. Potentially this dance I fell in love with is something that I will continue regardless of where I'm at. I actually led a dance class 2 days ago, so we can always do this. So, as far as potentially commentating, poetry, I'm going to start taking a little bit more serious. I get to pick up new quirks along the way that I'm sure I can't even explain them all. But I'm a true lover of life. The Rashad Jennings Foundation is something that's stapled in my heart. And playing in the league, I've been blessed to play 8 years and created great relationships through the NFL and also the NFLPA. And one thing I wanted to do with the foundation is leave behind a legacy, and that's to give players, active players, ways to give back to their hometown without having to be there. And so the foundation, through the Reading Challenge, when we're working to get in all 32 cities, and we're about in 15 right now, active players. So that's something that I'm leaving behind and we're going to continue to pursue with. But listen, the future is big and it's bright. I know it is. And I'm happy to walk into it and see what God has in store.
You know these players so well and what's gone on with this team in the last couple of years. What's the biggest challenge for this group to turn it around and get it right?
The biggest challenge for this group to turn it around and get it right is simply coming together and finding ways to get more points than your opponent. I mean, this game is never going to get any more complicated than that. It's putting more points on the board. Now, how do you do that? I think is a better question. And that's everybody being in sync. And I think this organization is so great and historically known for getting guys in sync. I mean, they've done it time after time after time. And listen, we are all, myself included, every man and woman that's been a part of this organization for a day or for 30 years has only been part of this organization to help him move forward. People come and go. People always are going to come and go. But the objective is never going to change. And that was the very first thing as a player here that Coach Coughlin actually told me face to face. He said, faces may change, but the objective never will. And that's what this organization is about. So all of us, including myself, as I move on, always going to be a part of a Giant, but I was only here to help him move forward. And I know this organization is going to move forward.
So did the objective get lost? What happened? What happened?
The objective? No, the objective can't get lost.
But I mean, what happened? What caused them to kind of not to be it like the Giants have always been as an organization, with the confusion, miscommunication?
For that, because I'm not
weird things.
Right, no, totally. But for that, I mean, I wasn't here this year, so I can't really speak, to anything that happened this year. I only can speak to when I was here, if that makes any sense to you.
You said, sorry,
Go ahead, Ralph.
You said you're retiring because you didn't get picked up. How much did you feel you had left? How much longer would you have preferred to play if you had a chance?
I think, my mark was 10 years. I think that what everybody wants to play 10 years. That's just kind of when you come in, your dream and hope. But for me, I still could play. I could play right now. I'm not out of shape. Don't kid yourself. I don't get out of shape. But I also understand. I'm a realist. And I get the perspective and perception, and I get how the boards go and the meetings, and you think about finances. There's a lot to go into it, and I'm just being very honest with myself and understanding where I'm at in life. And I think it's time to let it go.
Did you have any conversations with any teams or any nibbles that you thought maybe there's a chance here?
Yeah, at the beginning, there was conversations. And as players were injured throughout the course, there was conversations, but no one ever pulled the trigger, obviously. And I'm okay with that. I get it. I have no bitterness or ill will towards anybody. I feel like playing in the NFL is an opportunity, and I had mine.
You talk so much. Go ahead, George.
How well do you think the move turned out for you? I mean, you were a free agent, you came here, you got a chance to be the starter, and obviously all the things that come with being around here in New York and this area. How do you view that move?
Sorry, say it again.
How do you view the move? Like when you were a free agent, you decided to come here, and you got a chance to be the starter and everything that kind of comes with it.
There's a lot that comes with playing football here, and being a starter here. You're in the mecca of everything. Everything you do can and will be held against you, good and bad. And that's the beauty of it, man. It really is. And you got some of the best fans you get to play in front of. You get to be a part of a historic organization, and to be a player here and a starter here, you carry a lot of weight. And for myself, I never was a player. I took people under my wing. When Paul Perkins was backing me up and then became the starter, I was his number one fan and pushing him. Darkwood was somebody that trained with me in the offseason. I have a great relationship with every single player, and I never put myself above the team.
Best move you ever made, John? I mean, because you got a lot of them coming here.
That's your question. Yes, for me coming here, yes, that was the best decision I made as far as my football career and coming here as a free agent. Absolutely. I fit the ambitions of this organization so much on and off the field. And I'm humbled that I get the chance to actually say I played here, and I get to retire as a Giant.
This time last year, all we were talking about with you was about playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out now your last game in the NFL is your first and only playoff game. Does it take away from the accomplishment because of what happened on the scoreboard and the way it went down, or do you look back on it and remember it for what you thought your first playoff game would be?
Definitely. As a player, when you look at it, in playing the game for 8 years and never making it to the 17th game, is disheartening because you lost. Now, as you retire and move on, you're always going to look back at that as an accomplishment. it is not easy to make it to the postseason in the NFL. And so, saying that we made it to the 17th game, we made it to the ball. We just didn't dance that well. And I got to go somewhere else and dance well later. But, I'm always going to have a great taste in my mouth because of that experience and all the guys that I did that with.
Rashad, understanding that you weren't here this year, are you surprised by how quickly things unraveled with this team? You had such a good year last year.
Say the beginning of it?
I know you weren't here last year, but knowing what you know of how last year went, you're surprised that this year turned out the way it did for them?
Yeah, this team is so great. The players that's in the locker room and the leadership that's in place. And yeah, I think myself and everybody else and all the players as well had higher expectations for themselves and what they were able to do on the scoreboard and with the win column. And it's unfortunate because it's not showing up. But I do know the guys in this locker room, and I do know the talent that's in this locker room. And I know the work ethic, and I know they're frustrated. But I know there's no quit in them. And I also know they're going to keep on going out there and fight. But as far as, I wouldn't use the word, I don't like using the word like surprise that much. But, sometimes things happen. And it's not anything, I can guarantee you this, it's not anything anybody's proud of around here. And I'm sure moving forward that's going to be the objective to change that.
You knew McAdoo and Jerry, Jerry signed you, and Ben was your coach pretty much the whole time here. What did you think when you heard that?
When I heard the news, I didn't have an initial response other than, man, you never know what's going to happen inside the organization. You never know what people feel that what moves need to be made. And, so I obviously do know this, again, going back to what I said, every single person in every position that's ever been part of the organization only had one objective, and that's to move this great football team forward. And that was Ben's objective, and so was Jerry Reese.
Welcome into the Players Lounge presented by Mercedes-Benz. I'm Madeline Burke, joined by a familiar face to Giants fans, Rashad Jennings. Rashad, you made a big announcement today, announcing your retirement as a Giant. How are you feeling right now going through this moment?
You know what? It's a bittersweet feeling. And, I've said this before, they say all good things have to come to an end, and that's the bitter. But the sweet thing is because that allows greater things to start. And I feel like where I'm at in life, there's a lot in front of me. There's a lot more life in front of me, Lord willing. And there's a lot of things that I have desires for, that I want to accomplish, that I want to move forward doing. And now I get that opportunity to kind of release this free agency of mentally kind of surrounding myself of when or if. And now I get to focus on other things that are important.
Yeah, and you mentioned the free agency. I mean, you've said you're still very clearly in football shape. You said you can get out there and go right now. And there was some thoughts about possibly, pursuing a free agency role at the beginning of this year. What made retirement the right decision for you right now?
Yeah, definitely. I'm in shape. I always say the best way to get in shape is never to get out, period. So I'm in football shape. If a team called me right now, I can go out and fly around like I never missed a beat. But, as far as where I'm at and to do it, like I said, do it now, it's because at 32, I'm very aware of where I'm at in life. And I get the war room and how they put on whiteboards and what player can do this, what player can't do this, how much that player costs. Like, I understand the realization of getting picked up, and I also understand the realization of I have different networks and opportunities calling me saying, hey, Rashad, we can't sign you because you're not going to be committed.
Okay.
So that's a strong reason too.
And you mentioned, different opportunities as well. You went on Dancing with the Stars and won. And
hot dog.
had that great moment as well. This is a new talent you're discovering as well. You're teaching dancing a little bit as well. Like, talk about that chapter in your life right now.
That's a fun experience. I did not expect, or I didn't even Listen, it's Dancing with the Stars. They could have picked a million people.
Yeah.
So one, I'm fortunate that I was on it. I mean, I still don't know how, but I appreciated that experience more than anything because I got to remove my helmet.
Oh.
And nobody was concerned about what are your stats or, what's your fantasy points for this week. It was, who is this person? What is his personality? Football kind of strips your personality away a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not the focus. That's not the interest.
Right.
It's about,
It's about production and what this guy
Always.
does on the field and stuff. But that's true. There's more of a human element in this right now. We've got some questions from fans coming in as well.
All right.
Danielle or Johnny wants to know, what's your favorite dance move?
Johnny, I'm trying to mimic it. My favorite dance move. Okay, so I like the rumba.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay.
So that's my favorite, one of my favorite styles. All right, and but the favorite dance move, I don't know. I like Cuban breaks when it comes to doing a cha-cha. Cuban breaks are fun.
All right. He likes to cha-cha.
Cha-cha.
That's like a whole song right
Cha-cha.
there. I feel like dancing too, like, has got to help with football footwork, or football footwork has to help with dance. I mean, do you see that crossover, like with those quick step drills that you've done?
Oh my gosh, yes. Like when I slow down, if you slow down football tape and you slow down a dance, you'll see so many similarities.
Yeah.
And you have to choreography is a lot. Like you have to remember every single step and not stepping on your partner and all this weird. So there's a lot of stuff going on that I totally did not know how athletic dancers were.
Yeah.
So they got a whole new respect for me. But yeah, it's tough. It's not easy. I think that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It's definitely harder than training camp.
Yeah. Now Bruce asks, he says, I saw you speak at Liberty College. How was it to speak at the college?
Nice.
Yeah.
That was a very humbling experience. I was the 43rd commencement speaker at my university, and also I was the youngest to ever do it. So I had a lot of pressure to perform.
Get butterflies a little bit?
Yes. All right, so check this out. This is actually pretty funny. So before I'm sitting down, I got my robe on, I'm waiting, I'm beside our chancellor, and he's about to go introduce me to the podium to deliver the message. And at the same time, at this time, President Obama was giving the same speech at Rutgers. So it's like I'm all just up here like,
Yeah.
And he says, well, I got a special guest that I'm going to bring up before I bring up our keynote speaker. Out comes Mel Gibson. So I'm clapping, like, I got to follow speaking behind Mel Gibson. To make it worse, after he gets off, he says, I got a friend. And then he brings up somebody.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, Vince Vaughn. I got to follow up Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson. So I was nervous.
Right.
And, but after I got into it, I remember why I was there, and it came across well, and people took something from that speech.
It's got to be nice just to feel like you can kind of reach out and inspire young people as well in that moment. Ty has a question. He goes, will you be an analyst, or do you have any desire to pursue that path?
Yeah, what's up, Ty? Ty, is that Ty Dollar Sign?
That could be.
Dollar sign.
We're going to throw a dollar sign in there for you, Ty.
Yeah, that is not off my list. Mm-hmm. That's an opportunity that I may pursue as well. Analyzing the game that I know very well, and giving fans and people at home another perspective of the game.
Yeah.
Coming from, because I was the guy that had to work religiously at the game to be halfway decent at it. I wasn't a kid that rolled out of bed with all the talent. So because I had to work so hard and going from non-talent to talent, I get to explain carefully what's going on and translate it to somebody at home.
Yeah, and we've seen, a lot of former players transition to analysts, and some of them, like Tony Romo this season, has been, surprisingly well. What do you see that analysts bring that you're like, that's good, that's really informational, or have you seen anything that you're intrigued
from
by?
Analysts?
Yeah.
Yeah, any analyst that really breaks it down to very common language and an analogy so people at home can understand, I respect that.
Yeah.
I think Ron Clark has done an amazing job of transitioning. I'm a big fan of how he's done that. But you say you like Tony Romo as well. You know what I like about Tony Romo? How they keep constantly saying kind of like he's a genie. Like he keeps calling out the plays before it happens. I see
Right.
that repetitively. I think that's neat. And everybody has their niche, and I think I got a clue what mine would be, but I'm going to hold it until.
All right. We'll have to have this as the surprise to be revealed later. Cece wants to know, is acting in your future?
Oh, CC. Is that like an email? Is that an email?
It could be,
a
like
carbon copy.
carbon copy.
So is acting in my future?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Acting is in my future,
Okay.
100%. I'm actually playing a role in Great News, and I'm playing Nicole Richie's fiance. My name is Carvel,
Okay.
like the ice cream.
That's
And,
great ice cream, too.
So that's one thing. But I want to get into some romantic films, and I've said this before. I want to kind of mimic Hitch. I think another movie like Hitch
Oh,
should
that
be
could
done.
be cool.
And I got some ideas for that. But yes.
Next Will Smith over here?
I know, not the next Will Smith. Just that movie,
Okay.
should be done again.
All right. Native wants to know, will you coach one day? Do you have any desire to coach?
Do I have any desire to coach? You know what? Coaching is not out. I don't have that strong desire to coach right now, unless I was coaching at Liberty University as a head coach in my college that I played for. But that's the only thing I would say yes to as of right now.
Yeah, because, we were talking earlier today, too. You're around the game still. You watch it, and you're in shape for it, but you're kind of pursuing so many different chapters. And does it feel kind of like the world's your oyster right now?
It does. Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel that playing a game of football, you have to develop some characteristics about you that you want to carry into life. Commitment, teamwork, loyalty, all these things. I personally can transition those habitual qualities that I've created over the last 8+ years and put that forward in other professions. And I say this again, I don't think it's necessarily about what I'm going to do, it's how I'm going to do things. And I'm going to do everything with excellence and be successful at it.
Now, in your career, as a player, you've spent time with the Jags, with the Raiders, with the Giants. Jeff asks, who was your favorite team to play for?
Is that Jeff?
Jeff, yeah.
Jeff, what up, Jeff?
One of our Facebook fans.
What's up, Jeff? My favorite team to play with? Guess.
Yeah, I'll say
Just take a wild guess.
Wild guess.
Starts with a G.
Yeah. Ends with an Ions?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. I'm good at this game.
He is very
I'm good at this game. Yeah. What is your biggest, obviously, not just on the field, but in this building. I've seen you come in here today, and everyone from, all aspects of this building, you're getting this warm welcome, this warm reception. Seeing these people and having all these experiences, what sticks out to you when you look back at your time with the Giants?
It's a lot that sticks out, but when you go back to the simplicity of the people you had an opportunity to work with, that's something that you always remember. Even as I'm looking out on the field now and watching the Giants practice, I think about the locker room. And that's one thing that every player is always going to say they miss first. You ain't going to miss practice. You're going to miss the game, but the most thing, you miss doing the work with the people you work with. And it's nothing like a locker room, the conversations, the fights.
And your locker was next to Eli, too. You guys are pretty close, right?
Which is something else that's great. I got a chance to locker beside Eli Manning for 3 years, and I got to know him, sometimes too well. And but he's one of the greatest guys to be around. He's hilarious. He's a leader. He's a friend. He's a teammate. There's so many endearing things I could say about Eli. And that's something I take with me, too, because I know, and we all know who this man is to the NFL.
Now, today you announced your retirement from the National Football League. Obviously, a lot of opportunities, a lot of things coming your way. If a year from now we're looking back at the last year and saying this was a great year, what happened in this upcoming year that made it what you're hoping for?
Well, you know what? This whole last year has been pretty remarkable. But for the upcoming years, for myself, it's definitely getting into the world and taking serious of acting, getting into some political realms, the Rashad Jennings Foundation, moving forward and making sure to continue to make sure that's going to be a staple foundation in the programs that are in it inside the NFL. I'm going to start dabbling into fashion. Rashad the Poet.
Ooh, Rashad the Poet. We can't forget about that. He's made some appearances.
I'm looking and having potential conversations with Hallmark about doing some things there. I'm not, and I in this chapter of my life, I will be finding my wife. There is a lot of different leadership qualities that I'm looking to express in so many different areas. And I'm not anybody who's got a chance to know me. And if you don't, I'm an autodidact. I love life itself. I love learning. I'm attracted to it truly. And so I feel like, you go to college and you get a degree and you try to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. I feel like God has given me a continuation of college in a different light for 8 years to practice, to learn, and network, to give a key to open up doors a degree wouldn't allow. And now, hey, Rashad, it's time to go. Go do something great.
So many wonderful possibilities in front of you. I'm very excited for you in this year ahead and so much more. Rashad Jennings, thank you so much for joining us in the Players Lounge presented by Mercedes-Benz. Thank you for your questions, and we'll be back next week with another edition of Players Lounge.